Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tonight Show podcast for today, the 22nd of May, live on YouTube. I apologise again that my laptop is still having issues with StreamYard microphone. I've tried all week to reset it, and unfortunately, I cannot get it to work. So, for the foreseeable future, I will be broadcasting on a small screen on my phone. If you can still see me, I am wearing a McLaren sweatshirt tonight. As well. God, this week's been chaotic. Bloody hell. Scammed everything. Scammed and hacked, and I've had to reset everything. God, it's been so chaotic. I'm joined by Labour Party supporter Zach Chambers around all the latest news. Hello, Zach.
Hello, Charlie. Hello, mate.
I've got to say, okay, I want to start off with scamming, Zach, because I have to say, there's a lot of people out there that don't realise how dangerous scamming can be. And, I've had the experience of it this week where, you know, you've got to be really careful. And this is something, that is happening all around the world. It can happen online, it can happen on the internet, in general. And you've got to be aware of that. And in fact, there was actually a warning the other day to Ipswich to do with a bus scam that happened as well. A bus scam that happened. Someone claimed that a person, Hannah Such, lost £5,600 to a scammer posing as my bank. A shed conman was jailed after scamming victims of up to £110,000. Alistair Baxter advertised on social media, took orders and pocketed deposits from victims in Bartonshire, Stirlingshire, and Glasgow. I mean, Zach, the stories of scamming around the country definitely seem to be getting interesting. Obviously, I have been experienced this week of a scam via a text. It's something that really can cause the police some headaches when it comes to investigating them.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to say, I have to say you're very I have to say it's good to see that things are back to normal this week because with your account because blimey, there's been a few of my friends that have had the experience of a few fishy things come through and being unfortunate to click on links that they're not supposed to be clicking on. Two of them this week. One being you, Charlie. We know of another one's got scammed this week and got a result in the account being compromised and being added up as them, which is not actually them. And I could actually, to be fair, I could tell that it was an odd bot because the way they were typing and the usernames. First of all, they had no profile pic, which was a big giveaway. The names looked a bit familiar, and the first thing they messaged was "Hi, how are you?" or something. I can't remember what it was, but and it looked it was very quick, very quick. How fast they messaged. Which was it was a bit of a giveaway sign and given the fact that I've seen these ones before, it was quite obvious that there's been a few annoying people on the World Wide Web this week doing some very silly things and being duplicates or scams and hackers and so. Yeah, it's been one of those weeks of them, I'm afraid. Good job I've been spotting them out for them and noticing when I realised not to message them. At the worst, I followed them, but I definitely didn't message back because I knew what they're going to get up to anyway. So, yeah, just so if you ever find something like that, unfollow, block. Don't spread it on because otherwise, once you get it, the others are going to come along with it as well. So, yeah, be careful of what you see out there.
And obviously, unfortunately, I can't share my screen tonight because I'm on my phone. But, Zach, I wanted to show this article here of warning for Ipswich bus scamming people on Facebook. Now, according to this is from the Suffolk Trading Standards. There's been a warning about Ipswich bus scam that's been circulating on Facebook. This page is claiming to be linked to Ipswich buses and is offering 500 smart cards with 6 months travel for £1 each. These posts have appeared on Facebook stating that the cities across the UK are offering a limited supply of transport cards that will allow recipients free travel for 6 months or for just £1 or £2. These posts mimicking city transport authorities and bus operators. A spokesperson for Suffolk Trading has confirmed this is a scam, and if you've been targeted, please speak to your bank and report it. This is action fraud. I mean, it's one of these things, isn't it, where, they come up anywhere, but something like bus, about a bus scam happening, that's going to be quite serious, especially people, think they're going to be using buses.
And the thing is, the bus scams are very easy to get catched out on, unfortunately. And they're very dangerous as well. Bus scams like that, the one that we quoted in back in Ipswich. That sounds like a typical case of a bus scam being quite unpredictable on customers and being scammed out of thousands of pounds of money when using the bus services. And I think it's a terrible scam that really hopefully is going to get tackled, because it ruins people's lives, it wastes lots of money, and it prevents customers from going on the bus, and that's the really scary thing about it as well. So yeah, it's not good to see.
I know, and I nearly lost a lot of money this week, and thankfully I got my money back. Thank goodness. Honestly, I was worried. It was concerning. This is the first time it's ever happened to me, and you got to be careful, guys. And I thought I'd raise this tonight on the podcast, because if you have been affected, please let us know in the comments, because these things should be taught in schools, colleges, PSHE lessons, ICT lessons, because if this happens to you, how are you going to deal with it? You need to be keeping aware of this. Trust me, you get people that make fake accounts up, or you get people on the phone who might have. I mean, I was on the phone for ages the other day trying to sort all this out. It was over an hour I had to sort all this out. So, not ideal. And, it can lead to bank cards being frozen and assets being frozen. I mean, I can't think, was it the other year Nigel Farage was debanked or something? I think that was a different reason. But, it can even happen to high experience level politicians. All these things happen to anyone. So you make sure you keep an eye out for that in general. But that's all the latest news there from that. Let's move on and do the actual stories tonight. I'm going to kind of go through this quite quick-firely. Now, number one, the first bit is the UK. In the first bit of news tonight, the United Kingdom has signed a £1 million a year deal to hand over the Chagos Islands. Oh, God. Under the new deal, the UK will lease back Diego Garcia military base from Mauritius. This comes despite widespread condemnation from opposition parties. Under terms, Mauritius will gain sovereignty. The islands UK will allow the US and the UK to continue operating the military base on the Diego Garcia Island. Is the Conservatives described it as an act of national self-harm, even though I believe James Cleverly did originally start talks on them, from what I read up. So that was interesting on that one. Also, here as well, in some more news, teachers and doctors will be given a 4% pay rise, according to reports this week as well. This despite coming news of Labour potentially looking at an EU deal, which I'm sure Zach will discuss in a. Oh, well, I'm sure Zach will be able to discuss in a minute what that means and what does that mean for, well, Brexit in one name only. And also as well, in some more news, Tommy Robinson or Stephen Yaxley Lennon is going to be released from prison. However, though, oh God, more news now that he's apparently going to be appearing in court again, charged with more problems. Oh. So, Zach, what's your assessment on these news stories?
Right, let's do the three stories then. First off, the Chagos Islands. That deal has now been signed and ratified. Mauritius and United Kingdom. They will keep an eye on tenterhooks, seeing when this was going to be done and dusted. But yeah, now it's done. It's been given approval by the UK. It's been given approval by the United States. And Nigel Farage famously said that Donald Trump would not sign the Chagos Islands deal. Nigel Farage was wrong on this occasion. But yes, this is a deal that means that Mauritius get control back of the Chagos Islands, previously their territory. The reason why there's been a deal done is because that's a very clever feature, Charlie. Switch your tablet around. But yeah, the reason why this is being done is because of a advisory court ruling in United between in the EU, ruling that the United Kingdom should not have territory over the Chagos Islands, and which means Conservatives did previously negotiate this. Let's just not pretend that didn't exist as well. But so far they had no deal, and then we got to Labour, who managed to get a quick deal out of Chagos. It means that they, as you said, they get the territory back, but the US and the UK gets to lease out their bases. It's going to cost them about quite a bit of money per year. The estimates say this deal is about for many years, about 30 billion overall, which is big. But then again, it's over many years rather than just something like that. It's about 100 million a year or something like that, which does sound expensive on the face of it. I have to say as well. A lot of criticism, the Conservative Party main criticism, saying that this is a sign away British sovereignty. As well, the Lib Dems been slightly critical of it as well. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't find it a big deal as long as our bases are safe and everything like that, and the Mauritius got their territory back. Then yeah, don't I don't see the problem really with it. And then we get to the other bit of news this week as well. As I mentioned, the UK and EU have signed finally, or in the process of agreeing the first big reset between each other under this new UK EU trade deal or updated trade agreement as well. Let me tell you what has been signed as well. This is their first breakthrough deal. One of the bits as well, let me just tell you what it covers. It covers fishing. That's the first part of it as well. This is the bit that gets Brexiteers really upset. There were quotas on how many fish could be caught in the sea. The EU agreed to reduce its fishing quota in the water by 25% gradually by 2026. In 2026, Britain could choose to completely ban EU ships in fishing waters. The deal announced Monday keeps the 25% quota cut, but extends access for EU boats to British waters to 2038 as well. Starmer announced a £360 million fund in vessels in coastal tourism towards new technology. The EU has agreed with as well to do a deal with the UK for sanitary and SPS goods, which include agricultural products, food, and animals. That means that border checks on plant and animal products will be dropped on both sides of the aisle, which is a good development because it means less paperwork and less red tape. There will be more closer intelligence alliance as well, including sharing facial recognition data. Britons on holidays who go on holidays will be able to start using e-gates, which means they'll get through the airports, European airports, a lot more quicker. I mean, that's a very good element of the deal, I feel. No matter what you think, I think it's a very good element to get quicker times through the airport, not be delayed as much, is very crucial as well. And I think it's going to make a lot of customers and tourists who use Europe very often very happy as well. They'll link their carbon markets trading system, which carbon credits are sold and bought to avoid carbon taxes as well. There is a talk, and still yet to be agreed on this, but there is work towards under this deal a youth mobility scheme which allow young people below the age of 30 to live and work in each other's territory for a limited period of time, and they would be capped and time limited, but this is still not done yet as well. So that's the mainly the new points of the deal. The Conservatives again very unhappy about this as well. 12 years access to British waters 3 times longer than the government wanted. We're becoming a rule taker for Brussels once again. As well, freedom of free movement returning will only increase. Nigel Farage basically said, if true, this will be the end of the fishing industry. The Scottish fishermen said it was a horror show for Scottish fishermen as well. But in other news, Asda, Sainsbury's, Morrison's, all the big UK supermarket and business federations have welcomed the deal, especially on the agriculture and the food products there and the tech sharing as well. So yeah, that's the on side, and I think it's a bit rich for Nigel Farage to be complaining about the UK EU deal. given the fact, he had the opportunity to make concerns of the deal once in Parliament, but guess what? A week early, he's on holiday somewhere, even though it's not recess yet. I mean, that man's never in Parliament anyway. He's most of the time on the broad rather than he's representing Clacton. So, yeah, typical Nigel Farage. And the third bit of news, as you mentioned, Charlie, is Tommy Robinson. He has been released from prison. Well, he's going to be released from prison in a couple of days. Actually, he's going to be released from prison early. He's 18-month sentence for contempt of court reduced to 12 months. His lawyers told the court he's shown a commitment to comply with the order, and he was due to be released from prison next week. But now, after the news that he was due to release from prison next week, guess what? He's been charged with 2 further counts of harassment of 2 journalists. Harassment causing fear of violence between the 5th and 7th of last year. He will appear at Western Magistrates on the 5th of June, according to a statement issued by the CPS as well. So Tommy Robinson comes out only to have committed more charges and is going to go back into in front of the CPS and the courts again. Tommy Robinson, known for never learning his lesson. And yeah, that's just him. A pathetic weasel of a man.
There's going to be a lot of questions about Tommy Robinson's imprisonment, definitely. But, I mean, I'm not going to get involved with stuff like that, to be honest. I mean, there's been a big debate. Rupert Lozak in Parliament this week suggesting, was it Lucy Connolly should be freed over comments about migrant hotels?
So, if you didn't see this, Lucy Connolly had her appeal rejected by the Court of Appeals. She's been subject to 31 months in prison for a very stupid social media post calling for migrants hotels to be burnt, and all that sort of thing, and migrants to be burnt. I'm not surprised that he is stuck in prison because of his stupidity, her stupidity. And the court basically said, no, we interpret this way. She can stay in prison for that many times. I think that correct decision. We should not be pandering to the pathetic idiots in the Conservative Party and others as well. And I think it's a bit rich for Rupert Rose. We can complain about Lucy Connolly and especially Tommy Robinson as well. When Tommy Robinson has now been done for harassment, Lucy Connolly has been called for migrants to be burnt up in hotels. I'm not surprised Lucy Connolly is staying in prison, and deservedly so.
Well, that's the main news stories done in a flash there today. Certainly a lot on that one as well. So moving on now to the news that I'm going to do, which is our plank of the week this week. Okay, right. I've thought about mine. I like theming mine on motorsport. First of all, my hero of the week, and I think whilst we're here, my hero of the week, we're going to come on to the Indy 500 now, because I want to give my hero of the week this week to Robert Schwartzman for an absolute mega effort, mega lap to get it on pole for the Indy 500, which takes place on Sunday. Obviously, the same day the Monaco Grand Prix is on. Actually, it's a bumper weekend. It's the kind of like the crown jewel of the motorsport season on Sunday. We've got the Coca-Cola 600 on in the NASCAR Cup Series. We've got Charlotte. We've got the Monaco Grand Prix F1 on at Monaco, Circuit de Monaco. And then also at Indianapolis Motor Speedway at the Brickyard, we have the Indianapolis 500. So, boy, the IndyCar, everything's going to be mad this weekend. Formula One, IndyCar, and NASCAR on the same weekend. So, bank holiday weekend here in the UK will certainly be interesting. But qualifying for the Indy 500 took place last weekend. We had obviously the Fast Six. We had the qualifying on the last Saturday. So the grid, obviously, it's a shame I can't get the grid up on here. I might turn my phone around and have a look for you guys. But if you watched the Motormania podcast the other day that I filmed, you will get an idea of the grid that I announced on there. So here is the grid in full. Row 1 will see a Robert Schwartzman, who is a rookie at the Prema team, who've been really struggling this year in IndyCar, not had a great car, gets it on pole. Then we had 48-year-old Takuma Sato, who's a veteran F1. Used to be an F1 driver years ago with BAR. Does anyone remember that when he was in Honda? He is second on the grid as well. Pato O'Ward the lead of the Arrow McLarens in third. Scott Dixon is fourth with an average speed of 2032.052. Felix Rosenquist is fifth. And row 2, current championship leader, I believe, or championship contender, Alex Palou sixth, going for his first Indy 500 win. And man, this guy's on a mission this season to win more races. As well, David Malukas seventh. Good qualifying from Malukas, definitely there. Christian Lundgaard, another one who's won, a couple of races. He was one at Long Beach, I think. He's seventh with an average speed, 4-lap average of 231.360. Marcus Ericsson is ninth as well. Then you've got McLaughlin, who had a big crash in qualifying the other week. Connor Daly's 11th. Rossi, 12th. They're the top 12. Then you've got some others as well. Christian Rasmussen. Carl Larson, of course, doing... I think he is doing the double this weekend. I don't know if he is. 19th on row 7 as well. Carl Kirkwood is 23rd. Castro Neves is 22nd. Colton Herta, I have to say, credit to the Andretti mechanics for getting him back out on that track after a huge crash early on the Saturday. That car was wrecked, and he managed to get back out on track. Obviously, only 27th, so he'll be looking for more on Sunday. Then Graham Rahal, Marco Andretti, Marcus Armstrong. And then we had, quite a ferocious session to get into the 500. Ended up Renus VK, Joseph Newgarden, 32nd Joseph Newgarden, and Will Power having shockers of a qualifying. Well, in fact, Joseph Newgarden's average, 233.004, actually is the fastest average on that list. But because he was out, he obviously didn't make it through to the fast six. He's 32nd on the grid. Bizarre. Zach, what's your assessment from Indy 500 qualifying?
Yeah, I have to say that was a very exciting qualifying. And first of all, what a run by Robert Schwartzman, a rookie driver and a rookie team in Prema Racing. In Prema Racing, you may know from Formula 2 and Formula 3, getting their first ever pole position, and the rookie at the Indy 500 is sensational. And the lap times, wow, I mean, that was stunning. If you look at averages here, 2:32.79. Good first lap. Very good second lap as well. And and he managed to keep the speed up consistently as well. I mean, he was faster by 0.7 miles an hour on the last lap compared to Takuma Sato. It was a really, really fantastic run as well. Then you had, obviously, Takuma Sato was second. Obviously, he's not full-time anymore. Then you got Pato O'Ward third. And then we got to row 2. We got Dixon, Rosenquist, Palou, who was very good originally as well. And then row 3 was David Malukas, Christian Lundgaard, Mark Ericsson. Then we got row 4, McLaughlin, Connor, and Rossi. And that's the first 4 rows of the grid as well. There were a few accidents I should mention as well. We had big incidents from Renus VK. We had big accidents from Marcus Armstrong, who was basically pulled away in a stretcher, but managed to be okay. We had Marco Andretti as well. Also, very avoided a few incidents as well. Graham Rahal at the back as well. Colton Herta, very lucky man. Unlike also as well with a big accident on the morning as well. Very much so. But the main story, I think, Charlie, coming out, not only of Robert Schwartzman, but it's been a hell of a week, and not in a good way, for Team Penske. And these form part of the planks of the week to me this week, Charlie, if I may say so. Will Power and Josie Newgarden qualified for the Fast 12 initially, and then failed tech inspection before their Fast 12 run. They weren't allowed out to the garage. They were in the queue, and then their cars were wheeled back to the garage because they failed inspection. very significant. And then because they were back to the garage, they were disqualified from qualifying, and eventually they would get sent to the rear of the field because of their because of their disqualification as well. But it was very controversial, and several members of the Penske team over the week have been fired because of the following on from the incident as well. But anyway, I think it's quite something when several drivers, including Newgarden and Power, failed post tech inspection as well. I think it was really, really, really something to see as well with Team Penske as well, and some of the stuff as well. So they fired their team president, their general manager, and general manager and managing director as well. So this is what Roger Penske said. Nothing more important than the integrity of our sport and our race team. We have had organizer failures during the last 2 years, and we have had to make necessary changes. Apologies to our fans, our partners, and organization letting them down. He owns the Indy 500 Speedway as well. They found what happened was Newgarden and Will Power were found to have a legally modified part on their cars ahead of the final round of qualifying. They were neither allowed to start qualifying. They were dropped to the back of the field, and it involved in no legal card pumped into. Yeah, that's really interesting as well. Cindric and Williams Company would have been suspended by IndyCar from the race, and both teams fined €100,000. It's their second consecutive year that this has happened where they've been suspended, where a member of the team Penske were suspended for serious infringements to the car as well. So yeah, very much stupid stuff from Team Penske, and it's rightly dominated the week as well. Not only with Robert Schwartzman getting pole, but the Team Penske cars absolutely clowning it, and they are the plankers of the week for me.
Definitely, I agree, Zach. It's an easy one this week. And I have to say, Newgarden's average was, I believe, 2:33. He would have been on pole with that average. He had the fastest average out of them all. But because of the penalty of Team Penske, they're at the back of the grid now. I mean, look at the average. I mean, Robert Schwartzman's average was 2:32.790. He would have been second. But, I mean, actually, what was Will Power's average? Let's have a look quickly. Will Power would have been a lot further back. Will Power would have actually probably have been in the top, let's say top 5 with the average he had. But no, Marcus Armstrong, I mean, that first lap he done monstrous, absolutely monstrous first lap. It's not easy qualifying for the Indy 500. It's done on average speed. It's not done on lap time. So, these ovals are testing. These ovals are testing for IndyCar, doing it on average speed. But for the Indy 500, Prema got a big shot of the weekend. Now that obviously Newgarden and Will Power, the Penske guys, are starting at the rear now, it's going to be tough. Sunday will be interesting. So more of a review on the Indy 500 next week. Coming up now is the review of the motorsport news. I have to say as well, my other nomination goes to the FIA for their swearing ban over Turner. George Russell spoke about that the other day, the head of the GDPA, the Grand Prix Drivers Association, who've welcomed a couple of new members, I believe, in the last week. But yeah, just scrap the whole bill. Sorry if I'm using an Ofcom word there. I think it's ridiculous. Scrap the whole thing. It ruins F1, and drivers will swear. Trust me, they will do it. I've seen it, team radios, many drivers do it on the team radio. Max Verstappen, even George Russell has done it. So, ask me that question. But anyway, let's move on now and I want to start with Prep the Foot. We're going to actually split the news up this week. Football is on this weekend. Obviously, last weekend we had the Premier League, obviously split weekend because of, fixtures with other teams. Crystal Palace won the FA Cup last weekend. Well done to them. Controversially, actually, the goalkeeper could have been sent off in that one. 4-2 there against Wolves. Man City, who lost the FA Cup, were 3-1 winners against Bournemouth at home. Brighton, Liverpool losing against Brighton. Shocker there. Everton 3-2 against 3-2-0 sorry against Southampton. West Ham lost against Forest 2-1, not in Forest. Fulham were 3-2 winners against Brentford. Leicester were 2-0 winners against Ipswich. And they're both already gone, down and relegated. And Arsenal 1-0 at Newcastle. So it looks like Arsenal are going to secure second spot now. And the other matches, well, Aston Villa beat Europa League winners Tottenham. So they say they battled the losing teams in that one because they're both down the bottom of the Premier League. Shame because both of them clubs are just falling so downhill this season. What's going on? Villa beating Spurs despite them winning Europa League 2-0. And Chelsea also beat a Europa League finalist team in Manchester United 1-0. Ruben Amorim and Ange are in lots of trouble. Even if Tottenham did win Europa League, they're both in trouble. Anyway, we have got a bumper weekend for you because it is the final game, the final match day of the season. It is match day 38 for the Premier League. So on Sunday, all the matches will kick off. I believe they're 4 o'clock from what I've been hearing.
Yeah, correct.
So yes, final match day, 10 teams, all 20 teams are in action, 10 bumper matches. By the way, obviously, still, I think European spots up for grabs here. Bournemouth, Leicester, Fulham, Manchester City, Ipswich, West Ham, Liverpool, Palace, Manchester United, Aston Villa, Newcastle versus Everton, Nottingham Forest, Chelsea, Southampton versus Arsenal, Tottenham or Spurs versus Brighton, and Wolves, Brentford. All 4 o'clock kickoff. Sky Sports, TNT has shown the Man U Villa game. Sky Sports, I think, are showing the Liverpool Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest Chelsea games. So, yeah. It's going to be interesting, Zach. Obviously, you know, many people probably will tune in this weekend to Gillette Soccer Special or Soccer Saturday, whatever it's going to be called this weekend, for the final day of the Premier League season, or go to the tender matches in person if they're going to one. You know, the final day of the season, obviously, yes, it's dead rubber at the top, but still European football up for grabs for some clubs.
Yeah, absolutely, Charlie. First of all, we should mention before I get into the Premier League stuff this week, I got to mention the 2 major finals that happened in the past weeks: the FA Cup final, and the Europa League final as well. Let's start with the FA Cup final because there was a 2 shock there. Actually, come back to that in a minute, Charlie. I've been called for a minute, so I'll come back to you if you want to go over that if you want, and I'll come back to you in a mo if that's okay.
Yep, that's okay, Zach. I just want to say on the FA Cup final, Crystal Palace did beat Manchester City 1-0. That was despite a VAR decision that got overturned, actually, on Dean Henderson. Well, VAR actually, I don't think they overturned it, but I know VAR, the VAR decision was actually that Dean Henderson ended up staying on the pitch, even though lots of the pundits, including Wayne Rooney, said it was a red card. From what I understand there as well. But Crystal Palace, though, defeating Manchester City in that final in a shock win for Palace, you know, at Wembley. It was a huge event at Wembley Stadium. It was Eze who scored the winner. 16 minutes. They held on for a long time, you know, in that match. And boy, they did. And then in the Europa League final, well, I don't know what to say about this one. This didn't even take place in the UK. It was in Bilbao, I believe. Brennan Johnson scored Tottenham's winner to claim the Europa League. Obviously, they get, I think, promotion to Champions League by winning that match. You know, according to this, Jim Ratcliffe's £6 million Manchester United investment goes from bad to worse. So, not ideal as well. The Manchester United head coach Ruben Amorim isn't at risk as well. So that is your European matches done, and of course the Premier League this weekend as well.
Yeah. Hello, sorry, back. So yeah, I was going to mention the major finals this week, and first of all, congratulations. First, let's start with the FA Cup. Congratulations to Crystal Palace, because that special performance by them, I have to say as well, to win that. I mean, it was surprising, but anyway, I love an underdog winning. And Palace, this is their first bit of silverware in what? How many years? 50 years. This is their first major silverware. Let's just say that in many many years, and just well done to them. They finally deserve it. And also, if we go to the Europa League final, the All English Europa League final, which happened yesterday, I was around a friend of mine, and he was crying his eyes out because for the first time, Tottenham Hotspur. We all make a joke about them having a dusty trophy cabinet. I think the dust is coming off them a little bit now because they've also won their first major trophy in 17 years. And it's a big one, a European trophy as well, to send them to the Champions League football next season as well. Who would have thought Tottenham Hotspur 17th and in the Champions League next year? Who would have thought that? But then again, who would have thought Crystal Palace would get Europa League football next year as well by winning the FA Cup? I mean, that is a brilliant result. No matter what you think about it, it's a fantastic result by everybody on that front as well. And thoroughly deserved by Crystal Palace and Spurs. I mean, it's the year of the underdog winning, isn't it? It's the year of the underdogs winning the big trophies. I mean, you got Newcastle winning the Carabao Cup. You got Spurs winning Europa League. You got Crystal Palace winning the FA Cup.
Newcastle.
Yeah, I've mentioned Newcastle already. Sorry, I meant the Carabao Cup as well. Really good stuff there. And then you got Liverpool winning the Premier League rather than Manchester City. I think this is Manchester City's first trophiest year in many years. And we don't count the Community Shield in that respect as well, because that's not a major trophy. If you think about it, it's just a friendly game, if you want to put it that way, as well, because that's not what we call proper trophy stuff. But yeah, that's congratulations to them. Now let's go on to the Premier League this week, Charlie, because it is the season finale of the Premier League, and I just want to tell you some of the major games that happened. There are 3 games, or several games that I want to keep an eye out for this weekend. My picks of the final day. So my first major pick of the final day is, and this is the game that I'll be watching on the weekend, is Nottingham Forest v Chelsea. This is going to determine who gets Champions League football next season. So let me just tell you where each of the teams are, Charlie. Chelsea are 5th at the moment on 66 points. Nottingham Forest are behind them by 1 point on 65. Whoever wins is going to be guaranteed Champions League, potentially Champions League football from next season as well. That is going to be a big on that side of things. Then you got as well the other game, I think, as well, Aston Villa v Manchester United. Again, Aston Villa must win to have a chance of a European slot, a Champions League slot. A draw will not be enough because of goal difference alone. Aston Villa's goal difference is 9, Chelsea's on 20, Newcastle's on 22. So this complicates the path for Aston Villa. It's a win, or it relies on Nottingham Forest. Well, actually, to be fair, no, it really wouldn't. Actually, Aston Villa really need to win because otherwise, because otherwise they probably wouldn't be able to get through anyway. A draw would not be enough for Aston Villa because they would have to need Forest. Basically, they would need to win over Manchester United and Forest to beat Chelsea to be able to get through to the Champions League next season as well. The other significant game to look out for, and my third significant game in some respect as well, is Newcastle v Everton. That's another significant game to look out for as well. Newcastle are 4th. They're on the same level points with Chelsea and Aston Villa. Again, they can get away with a draw, technically, but it relies on Aston Villa losing to Manchester United and Chelsea and Forest drawing as well. That as well. They need all 3 teams to draw to be able to get through. If they win, they should be fine, providing goal difference does not affect them. Because providing goal difference, I think honestly, if they win, they'll be fine. even if they draw, I think they should be okay. As long as Aston Villa lose, because they're ahead on goal difference as well. The other one to look out for is Fulham v Manchester City. So this is getting to a fourth game now as well. I think I'm going to keep an eye out for. Fulham v Manchester City. That's another game to look out for. Now, Manchester City should be okay in terms of getting into the Champions League, but they cannot afford to lose because if Newcastle win and if Chelsea win as well, if Newcastle, Chelsea, and Aston Villa all win and Manchester City lose, that means that Manchester City will be relegated to a Conference League position as well. The other thing to keep an eye out for, Charlie, as well, is I think the other games I think we're looking forward to is I think Spurs v Brighton, because it doesn't necessarily mean Brighton could get that critical 8th position, because 8th position could still get European football next year, but it really depends on if Chelsea win the Conference League and finish 6th. That means that the likes of that means the 8th position would be guaranteed a slot next season, because it'll go down to 7th for the Europa League and 8th for the Conference League. So actually, there is a small chance of Brighton being able to get European football next season, but it all depends on Chelsea's results and in the Premier League, and whether they win Europa League the Conference League next weekend, next week against Real Betis as well. And then Brentford also have a slim chance of making 8th position, but they must win against Wolves and hope Brighton lose against Tottenham Hotspur for any chance of that happens. So they're the main games to look out for, Charlie. There are some dead rubbers in this, I should say, as well. So if we go to some games in here, so I am eating Kit Kat as well. I should mention there are a few pretty clear dead rubbers in all of them. So if we look at Ipswich West Ham, that's a dead rubber. Bournemouth Leicester is a dead rubber as well in many ways. Southampton Arsenal is also dead rubber as well in that sense. Liverpool v Palace is also dead rubber, but Liverpool will be lifting the Premier League trophy there as well that season, and that's games also live on Sky Sports as well if you want to watch that one. So Man United v Aston Villa is on TNT, Nottingham Forest v Chelsea on Sky, and Liverpool Crystal Palace on Sky as well. And I mentioned Chelsea as well. They are in the Conference League. The Conference League final next week against Real Betis. That is going to be the Conference League final. If they win, they are through. They are in the Europa League next season, guaranteed, no matter what. If they finish 4th, however, they get Champions League. They'll go back up to the Premier League. Sorry, the Champions League, and they'll get a spot there as well. But yeah, depending on what their results are, the Premier League this weekend, it may be the case that 8th position is enough to guarantee European football. It may or may not be, depending on the results. So yeah, this is a very exciting weekend, Charlie, for many reasons. There's European implications this weekend. There's a race for the Champions League. There's a race for the Europa League. There's a race for the Conference League. This is going to be quite some final weekend, even if there's not a title to be decided, Charlie.
Football, motorsport, all in one weekend. This is amazing, honestly. I'm like, the UK fans get to watch the football, and then that's going to be interesting to see what time that clashes with the Indy 500 and the Monaco Grand Prix. I'll have to. A lot of people might have to have multiple screens on to watch the matches. Lol. Anyway, I want to review the F1 now. This is why, thankfully, I come in here. Thankfully, Formula One. So let's talk about the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. It actually provided a lot more entertainment than I thought it was. Let's start, though, with Max Verstappen Red Bull surviving a virtual safety car and a safety car period where he had a long, massive lead wiped out, but still won the race, and of course they cruised home, won the race after one of the most daredevil overtakes I've ever seen in F1. Goodness me, watching the fan reaction on YouTube the other day from, Tom Bat and Tommy P1 saying, oh, what an unbelievable move. And I was like, God almighty, Max Verstappen puts his nose in and Oscar Piastri had to just back out. It was an unbelievable move. One of the best moves I've seen in F1 for a long time. But yes, Max Verstappen won second race, the win of the year, Japan, now Imola. I think it's his third or fourth win in a row there now, from what I remember. I think he's won ever since they've come back there. So, as you know, Lewis Hamilton won in 2020. So, for the last four editions. Thankfully, my knowledge got there, interestingly. Second place, the two McLarens, Lando Norris, on the fresher rubber, past Oscar Piastri. Ooh, that got a bit tense, didn't it, from McLaren fans? I thought, God, I'm actually gonna maybe touch here. Yes, Piastri third will be ruining that strategy. Be a little bit disappointed with the way the strategy planned out. But really early, and I think why didn't they pit him at the end again and put him on fresh tyres? He was a sitting duck at the end. Lewis Hamilton, fourth. Ferrari didn't have a great qualifying, but Hamilton recovered. Best result of the year for a non-sprint race. Still, though, qualifying, Ferrari's weakness is not great in qualifying, especially Lewis Hamilton. 12th from the grid, I think, to 4th. Alex Albon, him and Charles Leclerc, there was a little bit of a battle there, and Ferrari fans were getting a bit tense on that, weren't they, about that? Finishing a fantastic 5th. Williams getting 14-point haul with Carlos Sainz down in 8th. Junior there for Williams. Albon, one of my drivers of the weekend. Charles Leclerc was 6th. Again, did not pit at the last safety car, so that's why he was a sitting duck. George Russell with the worst result of the season for Mercedes in 7th. Mercedes had an absolute shocker in Imola. Andrea Kimi Antonelli, as his home race, brought school teachers down, everything. Brought some of his friends down, unfortunately retired, as did Esteban Ocon with power unit failures. So I expect that maybe penalties coming for Monaco. Or hope it, depending on allocation, whether they've exceeded allocation. That's another one to keep an eye on. Isaac Hadjar taking another decent result for Hadjar. He's definitely been not decently consistent in that car, and finishing ahead of Yuki Tsunoda, his ex-teammate, in that car, shows that the second Red Bull is still at cursed seat. Fernando Alonso, oh dear, Aston Martin, what a shame after a great qualifying. Promise for them, knocking both Ferraris out and then just getting caught out at the end. Stroll got 15th. Alonso pointless now for 7 races in a row, Fernando Alonso. One of the worst starts he's ever had in F1. Reminds me of his McLaren Honda days. Pierre Gasly ran wide with Charles Leclerc. He was 13th. And despite battling Leclerc, the handful positions never really recovered. Nico Hulkenberg was 12th in that Kick Sauber Ferrari. Liam Lawson again 14th. Lance Stroll. Franco Colapinto, who survived the crash during Yuki Tsunoda, obviously started from the pit lane after a crash in Q1. Colapinto on his return binned it in qualifying. And I have to say, I'm going to be very strict. I know it's only his first weekend back in F1, but I'm going to be critical. That was very underwhelming from Colapinto. Just didn't have pace at all in that car. Not like the Williams. So, yeah, Ollie Behrman, what happened to his race? Again, Buster got caught out by the safety car. And Bortoletto, well, last of all the classified finishes. Zach, what did you make of the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix? Your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting at times, I have to say. It was a bit slightly unpredictable with several virtual safety cars and safety cars involved in the race. But the whole highlight of the race to me was lap 1, turn 1. I mean, we know we criticise Max Verstappen sometimes for his overtaking and his aggressive style of driving. But then again, you watched some of his incredible driving as well, like we saw last week. And actually, when he does drive incredibly, you have to say he came across really, really well across that first corner. And that was a great, just stunning overtake. I know we complain sometimes. I know he is a bit aggressive and he is a bit unnecessary. But and it can result in crashes that are quite silly from his end. But blimey, wasn't that first corner fantastic move? Absolutely committed, gave no room for error whatsoever, and he was brilliant overall. An absolute fabulous job from Max Verstappen. Totally dominant overall in that race. And I think, yeah, in fact, the safety cars have helped as well. Yeah, we had a few incidents as well in the race. I mean, first of all, Kimi Antonelli's car failed on him, and that's very unlucky. George Russell's race wasn't brilliant as well. Really, not really a poor performance for him. Yeah, it just wasn't really that good overall from the Mercedes drivers as well. And if we just go through the field here as well, Verstappen won, Norris and Piastri second and third. Norris finishing ahead of Piastri despite Piastri's started on the pole. Lewis Hamilton will be very impressed that fourth place. I think that's Ferrari's best result in a while, actually. That strategy of the medium tyre really did work for him in the long run as well. Specifically as well for Alex Albon. He was extremely impressive as well with his result as well. Fifth position as well. Leclerc sixth. George Russell again just was very unlucky overall. Yeah, and I just have to say, yeah, it just wasn't the race to him as well. Carlos Sainz, 8th position. I think they'll take that as well. Decent result overall for him. I have to say, in 8th position. Isaac Hadjar, great job by him overall. I have to say, really good job. 9th position as well. Yuki Tsunoda, 10th position. I think it's a good recovery job for Yuki Tsunoda after that horrible accident in qualifying, where he went backwards and flipped the car over as well. Fernando Alonso, 11th position. Nico Hulkenberg was 12th. Alonso finishing outside the points again. Just unlucky for him. The DNF was Esteban Ocon again. Car issue for him. Antonelli, 19th. Bortoletti was 18th. Behrman lost the pace. And 17th. Colapinto the same as well. 15th was Lance Stroll, 14th Pierre Gasly, and then 14th was Liam Lawson, then Pierre Gasly in 13th as well, as I mentioned. We mentioned Hulkenberg, Alonso 12th and 11th, and yeah, that's it. This weekend is the Monaco Grand Prix. It is one of the highlights of the racing calendar. Maybe not for overtaking, but for the spectacle and the glamour of it as well. Now, for the race wise, this is a little bit different because there is a mandatory 2-stop strategy in the race this year to try and improve the racing overall and to try and get some overtaking in and unpredictability. Now, with the 2-stop strategy, there'll be you will be required to use 2 compounds for the race itself. So that's still the same, but you need to stop twice. So you could do 2 runs on one compound and then 1 run on another compound as well. And the if it is a wet race, the 2-stop strategy is wiped out, and that means we just go to a single stop if they really wanted to as well in wet conditions, depending on if it's declared a wet race. So hopefully it does shake up the action a little bit, because overtaking is very difficult around Monaco. I mean, Formula E cars can do it perfectly fine, which means it's just innate to the F1 cars that they can't overtake that well. So yeah, it's going to be qualifying is going to remain very important, but there may be an extra element to the race this year overall, depending on that extra strategy to stops overall. There we go. Go on, Charlie.
Yeah, sorry, I was just going to say that. I was going to say, yeah, no, I'm very excited, for I'm going to say I'm cautious about the Monaco Grand Prix because these F1 cars are so wide with ground effect now that overtaking is very challenging. Having said that, moving on now to what did provide entertainment the weekend was Formula E. I watched both highlights of races. Wow. Stoffel Van Dorn getting his first win in about 3 years. I mean, man, in a wet race, in race 1, jeez. That was amazing. But race 2, Verline and Roland had a very close encounter where I thought, oh God, that was going to be it for both of them. But Roland won the top 10 covered by just 5 seconds. I mean, that's insane. In fact, the top 3 were covered by less than a second. Roland obviously got pole, 28 points, full haul. Verline second, Dan Tickton third, Jake Dennis fourth, Lucas Grassi fifth, Vern sixth, Nick Cassidy seventh. Better weekend from him. Jaguars really struggling this year with pace in general. Sam Bird got the fastest lap in eighth. Buemi ninth. Sebastian Buemi was ninth, winner in one of the Monaco races. Maxim Gunter was 10th. Taylor Barnard, very unlucky in that race. Got hit by Eduardo Mortara. Contact was made. Sent the Neon McLaren driver out of the race. Oh, gutted for him. He done so well. Da Costa retired in that one. Van Dorn, who won the first race, retired. Zach, what's your assessment on the Formula E?
Yeah, I unfortunately didn't see him unfortunately this weekend because of the fact it was really early and I couldn't be asked to get up for it. But yeah, overall, it was very exciting. And Stoffel Van Dorn winning his first race in ages is thoroughly deserved as well. It was a great job overall for him to actually do it. And I think that if I remember, the first race in Tokyo was in mixed wet conditions,
Yes,
if I remember rightly. As well. So that added an extra element to it, no doubt, as well. So let me go through the results and the two races overall, if I may. So it was Stoffel Van Dorn in race 1 ahead of Oliver Rowland. I mean, Stoffel Van Dorn started 14th, so that's an impressive how impressive the results was. Second was Rowland. Taylor Barnard, brilliant job for him. He got on the podium. Fantastic job for him. He was in third position overall. And then we look through, we've got Buemi, Ticton, Mortara, Da Costa, Vern, France and Cassidy in the top 10 as well. And then we go to race 2. It was Oliver Rowland, the dominant guy of the season so far, I should say, in terms of points, finishing ahead of Pascal Wehrlein and Dan Ticton as well, who, you know, sometimes many people seem to prat, but actually managed to get onto the podium and kept it there. The big winner, a big mover that way is Jake Dennis, 14th to 4th on that one, impressive drive overall. And so did was Nick Cassidy's one. In 7th position. The fastest lap went to Samba in 8th. Buemi was 9th from 16th, and Maxim Gunter in 10th position. That means in the driver's standings, overall, if I can try and get the standings up here as well, it is Oliver Rowland who is dominating. I mean, look at this. He's nearly half the points ahead of Pascal Wehrlein and Antonio Da Costa as well. I mean, the thing is, he hasn't won that many races, but the others are just having really poor results behind him or not on his level. He's kept very consistent as well, just absolutely consistent. And Oliver Rowland in that car is doing mighty putting the consistency in and doing a great job overall. He finished as well. So yeah, as long as he keeps that, he's going to be champion in a few races time actually as well. We now have we don't have to be fair, we still got 3, 5, 7 races to go across 4 circuits as well. So next time out next week will be a double header in Shanghai, and then it's off to Jakarta in June. Then we're back to Berlin in July, mid-July, and then the end of July it is the 2 London races as well. So we've got another double header in Shanghai to look forward to as well. That's the upcoming race as well on the circuit as well. It's the they hosted the race last year and they're back again at the Shanghai circuit as well. And my page is loading up in Chinese. I do not want my page up to load up in Chinese as well.
Sorry. So the modified version, just to confirm to anyone.
But yeah, weekend schedule for both races.
Yeah, on track.
Yeah, it is a modified version as well. But just to confirm, the race starts at 8 o'clock. I won't be up for that one, unfortunately, as well. Again, sorry. But yeah, both races at 8:05 as well for on that part. It's round number 10-11 of the Formula E season at 8:05 at 8:05 in the morning. If you want to get up for that one as well. So yeah, I'm afraid I'll be missing on that one as well. But yeah, looking forward to it no matter what.
There's always the highlights to watch, so you know if you missed the race, you can watch the highlights. Certainly in that respect, because you know Formula E is a sport you can watch on YouTube as well. But yes, I really want to go. I hope this year. I mean, I am not sure about it at the moment, but I'm hoping to go to the final round of the season in London. I'd love to go watch the final race personally, one of the races, you know, be great fun, and I think, you know, be good to see Formula E cars racing around London, the XL in London on the final round there. Anyway, moving on now. Sorry, we've been so busy tonight with the sport. Jeez. We're going to quickly go. I just want to quickly update you guys. Night 16 has ended the Premier League whilst we've been on air. I've watched it. And Zach, Luke Littler beat Luke Humphrey. Oh no, so Luke Littler has won
Did beat Luke
night
Humphreys,
16.
yeah, he did beat him. And yeah, he did beat him for the night. He won night 16, and we have the final four confirmed for the O2 next week. For the semi-finals and finale of the Premier League season. It's all or nothing next season. So next week. So Luke Humphreys, Luke Littler, Gerwyn Price, and Nathan Aspinall will be competing for the crown of Premier League champion for 2025, and it will all end next week as well. So let me just tell the semi-finals, because we now have the top three. It will be, if I'm correct in saying, Luke Littler v Gerwyn Price for semi-final one next week, and then it will be Luke Humphreys against Nathan Aspinall in semi-final 2 as well. So it's just so that you understand how this works. First will take on fourth, and then second will take on third in the standings as well. And then it will be over an extended amount of legs. And then whoever wins the two of them will meet for the grand final to determine the 2025 Premier League champion. That is next week. One of Luke Littler, Luke Humphreys, Gerwyn Price, or Nathan Aspinall will be lifting that Premier League trophy this time next week. I have to say as well. So it's a big moment. Overall action. It's the playoffs for the overall. This is the season-ending match for the Premier League season. Four players can win it. Nathan Aspinall's never won this before. Luke Humphreys won it. Luke Humphreys never won it, I don't think. Luke
Littler's the reigning champion, I believe.
Luke Littler's the reigning champion. Gerwyn Price has won it before. Luke Humphreys and Nathan Aspinall have never won it. Humphreys was in the final last year. Got beaten by Luke Littler as well. So he would want to get his revenge this season as well, coming to next season as well. But yeah, big moment. 4 players, 1 champion to crown next week.
And I'll quickly update the wrestling guys as well, because I know one of my uncles watches the show. I'll update Saturday night main event in WWE. WrestleMania will be at Las Vegas. 42 will be at Las Vegas next year. There's been some changes onto that news as well. The big match of the weekend, obviously, John Cena will face R-Truth. Another test for him. The main match, though, this weekend is one of the main matches is the World Heavyweight Championship, which will see Jey Uso take on Logan Paul. And, of course, Gunther is looking to challenge one of these two in Phoenix, Arizona on Raw on the 9th of June. So that is going to be interesting as well, to say the least. Also as well, we have a big tight tag team match. CM Punk and Sami Zayn will be facing off against Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker, who had a big confrontation the other day I believe it was on Monday Night Raw. They had a big confrontation that ended up with them beating the crap out of each other. But that will be certainly very interesting, as Paul Heyman came out as well, despite Seth Rollins interfering Braun Breaker's match against Jey Uso. So that is all of the wrestling news as well to cut that I've covered there for you guys. Obviously, you can visit WWE.com for all the latest wrestling news. As well, I'm now going to play for you a song whilst we have a couple of minutes break. And this is a new single from Ed Sheeran, and it's Azism. We'll see you in a couple of minutes. That was Ed Sheeran there with one of his newest singles, Azism, which is actually got released not that long ago, actually, believe it or not. Azism, Ed Sheeran, is one of these new songs that come out. He's been on a roll recently. He's got a new album coming. He's got a couple of new releases. So, yeah, we're just waiting on Zach at the moment. Unless it's my end that's having all the technical glitches there as well. So I will...
Hang on. I'm here. Sorry, I'm just having a few issues with my camera, actually. It decided to switch halfway through to my phone, actually.
That's all right, Zach. I was going to say, what did you make? What did you make?
Silly little thing,
what did you make?
It's decided to go. It's decided to have.
Oh, we've lost Zach at the moment. He'll be back on very, very shortly. I'll have to maybe sort the studio out. But yeah, obviously that's the new single by Ed Sheeran. It's currently out now. It's been out for a little while, actually. He's got, as I said, new album. He's got another new single out. He was on DJ AG's live stream the other day as well. If any of you watched live on TikTok, obviously he does DJ, and Ashley Gordon, his real name, was DJing live on TikTok the other day, where he actually... It's amazing, you know what? It's amazing that people... I've got huge respect for him, you know. The guy's bringing music to communities, you know, bringing music to communities, and really giving people a chance to, you know, listen up and get... Who had a comment? Oh, you've chucked me backstage. Yeah, sorry, Zach. I'll try and get you back on this stream, if I can. Yeah. Seems like it's not working out at the moment. God, literally, we're doing so well on this show, and then I have to have a technical glitch to get my guests on. It's annoying, isn't it? I do apologise, guys. If I'm still live, obviously, on this stream. You know. Yeah, I'm still live. Just checking. We got Zach on here now.
So, hello.
Yeah, we reset the stream.
Great. Do you know, it's a great time for my thing to let up. It's gone kaput. My thing decided to go kaput. My end, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
I was going to
back
say
on the
that.
phone.
What did you make to Ed Sheeran's new song that come out just recently?
Yeah, I really enjoy it. It's one of his best ones, actually, Azizem. One of his, it sounds like very Mediterranean as well in some ways, which I find really nice. Because I know he's been filming around the world doing this as well. Want to go to different cultures, so I really like it.
Yeah. Anyway, Conversation Street this week. What are we going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about this. Now, today, in America, Donald Trump had a meeting with the South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, which is what I want to be talking about this week. Now, the video explains genocide in South Africa, and, well, it was an interesting meeting, to say the least, from both sides. Now, obviously, Cyril Ramaphosa, to anyone who doesn't know, is the leader of South Africa. Now, the meeting, despite Trump choreographed onslaught, according to this, 3 months ago for office, Donald Trump's second-term foreign leader should be aware of crowd tricks very risky public dressing down, often straying into attempts of provocation and humiliation. Wednesday's episode with Cyril Ramaphosa, President of South Africa, was classic kind that had a twist of ambush, dim lights, and a lengthy video screen. As television cameras rolled out with some well-timed discussions, Trump was asked by a journalist what would take him to be convinced that this eradicated claims of white genocide in South Africa are untrue. Elon Musk, his advisor and his South African-born billionaire, watched quietly from behind a couch. But the top South Africa's Nelson Mandela negotiator helped bring the end to the apartheid regime of white minority rule. Trump sometimes appeared unaware of transparent efforts made by foreign leaders to flatter. That was clearly a part of South African strategy. So, yes, Zach, obviously this conversation took place in the White House the other day. It's obviously a big thing that happened. What was your assessment on it?
I find the whole thing bizarre. The old sit down on the sofa thing with Donald Trump, because I don't know what Trump was trying to achieve. He's trying to turn it into like another President Zelensky like battle or something like that. And I don't think it worked, because I think Cyril Ramaphosa came a bit prepared, really. There's been a lot of claims about genocide of white Africans, which, if I'm correct from the independent fact checker, saying it's not really true what's going on. The Trump wants to perceive it as something that's true, but it really don't think it has been found to be the case at the moment. So yeah, he's tried his best. He's tried to pick up all the evidence, so-called evidence, as well. And it was not very, very clever, and I don't think it came across very well.
I was going to say that, obviously we've had international wars happening this week. We've obviously had more news from Ukraine, more news from Israel. It's going to be interesting to see going in the weeks ahead how these conflicts are really going to shape up. Because obviously in the weeks ahead in the news, obviously here in the UK, we've got bills going through on immigration, EU and stuff. But the wars as well are going to be a big talking point. What do you expect will happen over the next week politically for this and geopolitically?
We'll have to see. I mean, you obviously got to think as well. There's hopefully, there will probably be more there'll be more foreign policy stuff next week potentially, as well. There will obviously in many ways as well. But what's going to happen next week? I don't really know. I mean, next week is obviously recessed. It's bank holidays, so there won't be much happening overall in Parliament. I can't really think of anything that's going to be really like going to be taking place as well, what's coming up in like the next week or anything like that. But I expect things will be a bit more quiet in the front, and hopefully we'll get a bit more peace and quiet in the politics world, but nothing ever is peace and quiet these days as well. We'll see what comes out of it.
I was going to say, what do you make of the recent news in Gaza that's happening at the moment?
What do I think to make of the recent news? I think, again, it's Netanyahu pulling the trigger too far again. He's gone far too beyond the limits now of what we should expect. He now wants to occupy fully of Gaza. And I just think, as much as he wants to defeat Hamas, occupying a civilian population that's innocent is not the way to be doing so. He released a statement today suggesting that the likes of the UK, France, and Canada was basically in support of Hamas with their latest actions. I don't think it's fair to suggest that as well. Netanyahu, I think there's a general population that whilst we can support Israel from Hamas, that Netanyahu has gone far too far in the war, and that he needs to be working towards a ceasefire rather than killing many of the civilian populations that what he's been doing so far.
It's very sad what's happening in Ukraine as well, Zach, with Putin. Obviously, he had lots of news this week. We had some news the other day about a meeting. Trump had a meeting on Monday, I believe, with President Vladimir Putin of Russia. It's still going over there as well.
Yeah, and Donald Trump has been taken by a fool by Vladimir Putin, who does not seem to be serious at the moment on the war and trying to negotiate peace settlement. And I'm afraid Donald Trump has been sucked along by Putin and his minions of puppets as well. And it's really, I don't know why he keeps trying, because it's not working so far. And it's just really, it's not working. It's pathetic.
Well, that's all we've got time for on the Tonight Show podcast. Thank you so much for watching tonight, guys. And obviously, I hope you enjoyed me and Zach tonight. It's coming on the show. Thank you so much for watching. See you again next time for another edition of the show. In the meantime, though, you can watch all of the sport in action on Sky Sports and obviously on various platforms across the world. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Take care and goodbye.